Well, today was to be a big court day in the case against David Anthony Burke. Who was I watching earlier today? I was watching Pascal. I love the Pascal show, and he says D4vd. I might have to do that. I was today was to be, hey Javi, we're gonna do a take two. We're gonna do a take two. I need you to edit that out in post. Today was to be the preliminary hearing for D4vd. Thank you, Pascal. No copyright infringement intended. But actually, not surprisingly, his attorneys, who just a few days ago had said it, we want this to move on. Our client is innocent. We will show that. We want to move on. Today they're like, you know what? We probably should see the discovery before we do any of this preliminary hearing stuff. We would like to know what the prosecution has. So maybe could we just call this a status conference today? That would be great. That's how it went. So, but that doesn't mean that there weren't bombshells flying, fallen. What do bombshells do? Once they have shorn the bomb from the shell, I don't know what they do. It doesn't matter, Gavin. Javi, you got a lot of work to do today, man. I am on one. Anywho, doesn't mean that there weren't bombshells. There was a huge one having to do with CSAM, little what the law calls CP, but the rest of us call CSAM. And I think there's more that we need to talk about the autopsy. So there's so much to talk about today. Not really enough time to talk about it. Also, we have 3 questions tonight. We have some true crime headlines. We're going to give you some updates on the Nancy Guthrie case, the Melody Buzzard case, the Amy Hilliard case, and of course, we're going to finish out our day with a little good news. Stick with me. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend. Welcome back to another True Crime Conversation with me, Gavin Fish. So thankful that you would join me tonight. If you'd like to cut through the fluff and the sensationalism in true crime, get down to the nitty-gritty, you have found the right place. Boy, I'm glad you did. And you know what else makes me glad? We're going to play the glad game. This is Pollyanna here. I imagine that story started as a book. I know it because of the Disney movie. I'm not all that well read. Did it start as a book? I don't know. Though I will remind you guys that I am on a mission, a quest, let's call it, to, in 2026, read 6 classics. And this very day, today, April 23rd, the 1-year anniversary of the date, by the way, that the young lady, the child, the little girl that we are talking about today, Celeste Rivas, is believed to have been killed. This very day, April 23rd, 2026, I just finished Fahrenheit 451. So I have 4 of my classics down out of the 6 that I'm going... 6, I don't have 6 fingers. This isn't The Princess Bride. Out of the 6 that I am going to read, my next read is going to be Huck Finn. So I started out with The Tale of Two Cities. I then moved on to Of Mice and Men, short story, very, very good. Then I moved on, not really a short story, a novella. I almost said telenovela. That's hilarious. Then I moved on, what was it, To Kill a Mockingbird, and then I just finished Fahrenheit 451. I'm going to move on to Huck Finn before I finish out my year in El Gaucho Martin Fierro, which I'm really looking forward to. I've actually got a pretty good head start on it. But anyhow, enough about, this isn't about you, Gavin. This isn't about me. This is about Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the 14-year-old missing girl, missing out of Lake Elsinore, California, in the Inland Empire in Southern California, Riverside County, who, at least from what I understand, she met this guy D4vd, and that's when she started running away. She was smitten. She was in deep smit. She was 12, right? I've even seen some reports that say maybe 11, but 11, 12, it doesn't matter. Preteen, she's a child, right? She, I think, falls in love with D4vd and starts to run away. Last time that she was seen, or that we know that she was alive, or that I guess we think that she was alive, according to prosecutors, let's say, was April 23rd of 2025 when she walked into D4vd's house. Not walked into D4vd, walked into D4vd. This hard, okay. Walked into D4vd's house in the Hollywood Hills that was being leased for him by his now dropped record label, and she was not seen again. Her family releasing a statement a couple of days ago telling us that she was a beautiful young woman who was loved, who told her family that she loved them, that enjoyed movie nights on Friday nights. Just, a typical preteen. Now, this scares the dickens out of me, guys. I've got 2 preteens right now. And this idea that kiddos, it's not their fault because they're kiddos, right? Look at this little girl. Her family released this adorable photo of her when she was just a little bit younger. Look how adorable. Just so cute. And when I see this photo, I think of our daughters, right? This could easily be my daughter. It could be your daughter. And Celeste, indeed, we've all adopted her. The royal we have adopted her as our daughter, and we are each and every one of us offended by what happened to her. The prosecution says that this guy, David Burke, D4vd, lied in wait. He lay in wait. I can't remember how to do that. It's a funny word, but anyway, he lay in wait, and with a sharp instrument, we know that there were probably 2 stab wounds in little Celeste's body, one to her liver, which my friend Joseph Scott Morgan described as, other than the brain, the most vascular organ, so many veins going through it. The bleeding would happen quickly. One to her liver, one to her upper chest that went in between the ribs. And Joseph described it as a painful way to go. And prosecutors are saying this guy did it. I think I probably should reopen the autopsy report. We got some. I'm going to do that. Javi. Hey, Wanda, would you keep everybody company with some music while I search? Thanks, Wanda. Just going to go over here. Wanda is my music director. She is... No, Gavin, go to the right place. Wanda is playing all of these instruments live by herself. She has lived a long life. She's had plenty of time to practice. And yeah, she's just amazing. Okay, going into documents. There we go. Okay, I've got it up now. Thanks, Wanda. Thank you. Okay, I've got it up now. so we can refer back to it as we discuss the case. Now, as I was telling you, I was watching Pascal this morning. I was doing it while I was working. Boy, do I wish in days like this that I could go live just during the day. It'd be so great because just sitting there waiting and talking. Pascal, dude, like, my hat's off to you. In fact, that hat back there, that's my skeptical hat. My hat's off to you for being able to just chat with your audience and be informational and entertaining. So cool. I want to be like you when I grow up. Anyway, I was watching Pascal, and of course, there's no cameras allowed in the courtroom. In fact, I put a poll up. Let me check in on the poll. I asked a poll, given Celeste was a minor, do you think cameras should be allowed in court? And 83% of you say yes. 84% now out of 153 votes. Get your vote in. I'm curious what you think. 84% say yes, cameras should be allowed in the courtroom, but Judge Olmedo said, Olmedo, I think it's Olmedo, said, given that the victim was a minor and that she, or Judge Olmedo, is that what it is? Judge Olmedo. Yeah, so Judge Olmedo said no to putting cameras in the courtroom. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, what Pascal was doing was like live. He was going to different sources on Twitter. He was giving us the information, and it was so good. And one of the people that he was grabbing information from was Steve Fisher from SF Investigates, who tweeted a few times this morning, and I thought that I would bring these up because Steve Fisher, now, if you don't know Mr. Fisher's deal, he is a private investigator in LA. He was hired by the owners of the Hollywood Hills mansion that was being leased for David by his record label. After they had vacated, he went in and conducted an investigation in that house. One of the things that he said was that he found an SD card that had images of Celeste, and the last image that was on that SD card was like January 25th. That was the last time he knew of her to be alive. Prosecutors are saying the 23rd of April now. But anyway, Steve started out this morning saying, I'm headed to the calendared preliminary hearing for the people of the state of California v. David Anthony Burke, D4vd, hashtag D4vd. I expect it will be continued once appearances are made, but I'm going anyway just in case. This is a guy that has experience. I had no confidence that this was going to turn into a preliminary hearing. Yeah, I had no confidence about that. He later came back and said the preliminary hearing has been continued until May 1st, which is a Friday. We will be covering that here on the channel. I think it will probably be continued again, but if it happens, I'll do my best to cover it here on the channel, to kind of live stream and discuss kind of the way Pascal did today. He did so great. Matters of procedural importance were discussed today, mostly about transferring discovery from the DA's office to the defense. Items of interest that came up, including that hashtag D4vd's devices contained a significant, and I should have undone this, amount of CP or CSAM. We're going to get into a report about that. And then he also live tweeted a couple of other items of interest in the hashtag D4vd hearing this morning. The assistant district attorney confirmed that there were actually 3 separate investigative grand juries convened. One in November 2025, one in December 2025, and one in February 2026. She also stated, and I should have unclicked this when I screen grabbed it, but the defense would need a 10 terabyte drive just for his iCloud account. David was spending money on iCloud. But again, if I had another hat to take off, I'm afraid, Mr. Fisher, it's going to have to just be my regular skepticism hat. I take it off to you, sir, for staying on this case, reporting on this case, keeping the public aware of the case. Really, hats off to you, Mr. Fisher, for doing that. Now, I asked you guys to check in where you are checking in from, and then I didn't go back and check. But let's go and see. I'll bring up this little cute picture of Celeste. Dom's mom with the first super chat of the night. Thank you, Dom's mom. What happened to her is way worse than I imagined. Keeping her family in my prayers. Can't even fathom their pain learning what she went through. Yeah. Guys, and this is kind of the shame of what has to happen in order to seek accountability and as much justice in this life as we can for victims like Celeste, is that the family has to go through very painful things. And of course, our job as true crime fans, aficionados, whatever we want to call ourselves, is to follow the pleadings of the Reiner family, who so eloquently, beautifully asked us to temper our speculation with compassion, with humanity, right? That's our job. We can't stop. I mean, we want to talk about these things. And it's good for us to talk about these things. It's not just, telling horrific stories. It's good for us to remember victims, to seek justice for them, to talk about them. It's not just, hey, let's see if we can make a bunch of money on YouTube. It's a responsibility of a civilization to care for our victims. And actually, a very good example of this is go read Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, right? It describes this dystopian version of a future where life just isn't valued, where people off themselves and others for entertainment. They and that they don't, when somebody dies, they don't care, right? That body just goes and gets burned and it doesn't matter, right? And we'll just live for entertainment. We'll sit in our parlors with our family members, being entertained on the TVs, right? Surrounding us on all four walls, not caring about life, the seashells in our ears and everything. Guys, read Fahrenheit 451 if you haven't already. I was supposed to read it in like 7th grade and didn't. I did the Cliff's Notes, and boy, am I glad that I went back to it. But I'm telling you, this is important that we do this. And I'm glad that you guys join me to do it. Let me see what you guys are saying. We got San Jose in the house. Emmy, it's good to see you. Bring up your comments here. Marietta, Georgia, thank you for being here. Glad you're here. Let's see. Robin says, Opa, you did the thing. It's raining memberships. Yeah, I always forget that YouTube gives me 10 memberships to give away every month. So I hope you guys that received them will enjoy them. Miss Chivos Dragon, Jaforiel. Jaforiel. D4vds and Jaforiel. Indeed. Oh, we need a t-shirt. We need a t-shirt, guys. We need a D4vd and Jaforiel t-shirt. I'm going to do that. That's going in the swag shop. We got to get that. Colorado is in the house. Austin's in the house. Hey, Robin Mooney Autumn, can you remind me in Slack about that? It can just be text. It'll be a simple shirt. D4vd and Jaforiel. That is great. British Columbia is here. Thank you very much for joining us from the north. South Lake Tahoe is with us. Ohio is with us. Thank you. A fellow Keystone Stater is here. Glad yins are here. I totally did that. You know, Kimberly's going to be watching this. My snuggly bear, my sweetie pie, my one and only, is going to be watching this. And she is going to hear for the first time me behaving as a yinzer, which I am not. I'm a Californian. It's like nails on a chalkboard, and she's going to give it to me. She is going to give it to me. Where else are we going? Let's see. Wait a minute. Did I say, hold on. Yeah, it's Bradbury. I saw somebody correct me and say Steinbeck, but no, it's Bradbury. Scotch's mom says I should check out Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises, also a good short book. I don't think I've ever read any Hemingway. I don't think I've ever. I'm just not a. I'm not a fiction reader. That's why it's actually a goal of mine this year to read 6 classics. I don't read a lot of fiction. But I probably should check Hemingway. Thank you very much. Diane Fair says, Gavin, Emmett Till's mother had an open casket to show the world what they did to her son. Oh my goodness, how brave is that? And how amazing. Erie's in the house. Thank you very much. Patricia is reminding us Justice for Magnolia. That is a case that I check in on every day. Haven't found anything. St. Louis is in the house. Thanks for being here. See if anybody, I don't want to miss. Yeah, Wanda's the best, right? Lynn? She is the best. Elizabeth asking if I heard the Isadora Wangle case from Fargo, North Dakota. I have not. Watching from Bismarck. Thank you for watching from Bismarck. Yes, Steph, no cameras at all, even if when it goes to trial, it's up to Judge Olmedo. That's the deal. It's up to her. And maybe not. This hearing indeed was today. See a couple more comments here. Christine Meadows I'm cracking her up saying D4vd. I stole it from Pascal. No copyright infringement intended. I thought it was hilarious when he said it. Valerie Dahl says, Gavin, I believe cameras should be in court. There are always ways to avoid and not show certain evidence. David is an adult, and I will guess that many, if not all, of the witnesses will also be adults. Yes, indeed. iCloud accounts cost money. They do when you get storage, when you get lots of storage. Southern California is checking in. Alexandra is checking in from her bedroom. Natalie from the home of the New England Patriots. Jacksonville, Florida. Detroit, or as my grandfather would pronounce it, Detroit. Good evening from Norway is in the house. I think you might be winning for distance. Glad you're here. Charlotte, North Carolina. Phoenix Rising says, and Phoenix, by the way, if I recall, Phoenix, you may be the one who turned me on to the Ellen Greenberg case way back in the day. I think so. Anyway, Phoenix, one of our OGs. Gavin, I think if Celeste's family wanted it, there should be a hard push for trial to be televised. High-profile case with these circumstances will be so valuable to informing parents and kids about online grooming. Oh, what a terrific observation. Ooh, man, that would take... And listen, for Celeste's family, I understand any decision that they make that either keeps them out of or puts them into the conversation, and I will respect it. Whatever they want to do, it's not like they need my permission, but I'm cool with it because, I mean, how do you go through something like this, right? But I would be just in awe of parents like this who would say, you know what, we want it to be televised because we want other families to be aware of the dangers of this modern world, this online grooming. Great. Phoenix, you're the best. North Carolina in the house. Near the horse capital of the world is in the house. Yeah, Callie says Steve Fisher is excellent. I swear take two. His track record is on point. Look back at all he does. Yeah, he's pretty darn great. Hoosier Land is here. Salisbury, Tennessee is here. Thank you guys for checking in. Emmy says, I don't know if I should post this. You can post it, Emmy. Yeah. Joel is having Amy Hilliard's husband and sister on. Good for Joel. He has a great format where, the guests that he has are awesome. Love Surviving the Survivor. Detroit in the house. Let's see. East LA is in the house. Thank you for being here. Manitoba is here. Geneva is here. Scotland here. Valerie says, Gavin, small town, small school, and back then, if you thought you could get away with using Cliff Notes, you were sadly mistaken. You'd get an F and become a class example. It's a great book, though. Well, listen, I guess I broke the mold because, well, I didn't go to it was not a big school, but yeah, I got good marks. I got very good marks. And I was in the kind of, now they call it gifted. I don't know what they called it back then, advanced placement or whatever, all those classes. And I remember specifically doing a report on Fahrenheit 451, but I remember specifically not reading it. It's funny. Dana says, Gavin, Steve Fisher, after being hired by the homeowner, stated that he had access to surveillance, which showed the last person who drove the Tesla to its final location, as D4vd went on tour after this. Yeah. He has, and you know what? I believe him. I believe him. Lynn Taylor, New Hampshire is in the house. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you very much. And then I did see a big super chat from Diddley Squat. Thank you, Diddley. This guy should not be allowed to hide from his crimes. At the very least, we know he engaged with a child in ways we parents cannot comprehend. That's a great way to put it. Yes to cameras in the courtroom. Maybe it will deter others to see his shame. Yeah, and I think it's important to show his face, right? Here, yeah, there are some crimes where criminals are seeking attention, and in that case, I don't like to show photos. I don't like to show their faces. But then there are criminals that want to hide from the world. Those are the ones that I like to put the spotlight on. And yeah, David D4vd, who is in G4IL, was in court today. I'm going to get to a report on that. And thanks again, Diddley. Hello from Spain, from our friend Valeria de Venezuela. Thank you for being here. England is in the house. Denmark is in the house. The Kingdom of Denmark. Yes, I have spent much time in Denmark, both in Copenhagen and in Herning. I have friends in Herning, Mississippi. San Marcos, California is here. Thank you for being here for your first time. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all joining me. Okie dokie. While we've got this sketch up, let me bring us over to the LA Times. This written by James Quealy. This is a report from a reporter in the courtroom. Okay, D4vd's cell phone contained, quote, child P, close quote, LA prosecutor says. And what I've done is YouTube is a funny place, and we've got to be very careful about the language that we use here. And I know that some of you are on Spotify. Thank you, by the way. Shout out to my Spotify viewers and listeners, and to listeners listening to the podcast throughout the fruited plain and beyond. Thank you guys. But because I primarily live stream on YouTube, I can't say certain words or I'll get demonetized. And that does a couple of things. One, it makes it difficult to earn a living. And two, it makes it so fewer people see the content, and I think it's important content to see. So that's why I have blacked out words that shouldn't be shown on YouTube, and I'm not saying the words, okay? A cell phone belonging to David Anthony Burke, better known as the singer D4vd, contained, quote, a significant amount of child pee, a prosecutor said in court Thursday morning. Guys, honestly, I think this cooks him. It cooks him, man. This is... so before, I thought he's going to take it to trial. But now I think he's going to pretend to take it to trial all the way to the point that he doesn't. And then he's going to take a plea, and he is going to just go to his 10 by 10 concrete box that he will spend the rest of his unnatural life in. And because if they have CP on his phone, he is cooked. The amount of digital forensics that they have cooks him. He is done. And while I guess the I don't know, the curious part of me wants to see the trial, I'm also okay that I would be okay if there is no trial. I think if they have this, which they're saying they do, then there will be no trial. Okay, continuing the article. Los Angeles County, and tell me what you think. I mean, do you think I could be wrong, right? Tell me what you think. Los Angeles County Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman, who, by the way, I keep interrupting the article, but she is a bulldog that is so experienced in the department, according to people that I've talked to from the department, that it was obvious to tap Beth Silverman to prosecute this case. Tap her for this one. She is going to go after it. Okay. Los Angeles County Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman made the claim during a court proceeding to schedule a preliminary hearing on murder charges in the killing of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The images were uncovered as part of a broad series of search warrants executed on Burke's phone and iCloud account, Silverman said. That makes me wonder, he didn't have his phone locked. If he's on an iCloud, he's on an iPhone, and listen, iPhones have very good security. Very good security. So if they executed search warrants on his phone, he either didn't have it locked or was an idiot enough to say, sure, you can look at my phone. And who is another idiot? Who is another idiot that did that? Play the Wanda. We can't play Jeopardy music, obviously, but give the folks a few seconds here to guess. Yes, Stefan Stearns. Thank you, Wanda. Oh, she's so good. She's so good. I love how you're able to get multiple violins and pluck multiple violins at the same time. Wanda, you're amazing. Yeah, like, sure, you can look at this. I don't want suspicion cast upon me, so yeah, here's my phone. Take a look. Is it possible that D4vd did that? If they had search warrants and they executed it on his phone, as is being reported, he probably did something that stupid. Okay, which wouldn't surprise me. Everything about him is stupid, except let's give credit where credit is due. It's not my jam. It's not my thing, but a talented musician, which is its own kind of genius, right? But anyway, Burke's attorneys have insisted he is innocent and are demanding his preliminary hearing begin next week, meaning evidence in the closely followed case could become public as soon as May 1st. Okay, this cracks me up because they demanded on what, Monday? We demand that we move to a preliminary hearing. Let's do it on Thursday. And Silverman's like, the people would welcome a preliminary hearing on Thursday. And I'm sure that the defense was like, okay, well, we can't do it today, but we demand that we do it on May 1st. Come hell or high water, we shall do it on May 1st. And then I'm telling you, we'll get to May 1st and they're going to be like, I demand that we do this on May 4th. You know, it's going to be like that. It's going to be like that. Okay, he appeared in court Thursday in an orange jumpsuit. I've got a courtroom sketch here in an orange jumpsuit and worked into court with his hands in his pockets. I think the LA Times meant to say walked into court with his hands in his pockets. A status hearing was set for April 29th. Silverman and a district attorney's office spokesperson declined to comment outside the courtroom. The singer's attorney, Blair Burke, declined to comment. You know, Javi, remind me, I need to get photos of Ms. Silverman, Ms. Burke, everybody who's working on this case, so I'll be able to pull those up. Get those programmed into the old Stream Deck. Guys, it's time for me to get a third Stream Deck. It really is. The DA's office spokesperson declined to say if the CSAM allegedly found on Burke's phone related to Hernandez or another victim. Now listen, I think, this is just my opinion, tell me what you think. It's not just going to be Celeste. I think Celeste is going to be in there because we live in a, there's no other way we live in like a pornographic society. And the prosecution is alleging that there was a continued sexual relationship, also known as SA, right? This is a child. She cannot consent. But if there was a continued sexual relationship between D4vd and Celeste, yeah, there will likely be video and photos of Celeste, which is just a horrifying thing to think about, but it's likely the case. But 10 terabytes, they need a 10 terabyte drive for his phone and iCloud account. No, that means others too. That means other victims. It's got to mean other victims. This is just my opinion, and you tell me what you think. But no, people who have this predisposition, like D4vd is alleged to have, they don't stop at one victim. They don't stop at one victim. And therefore, there will be a lot. There will be a lot. There should be an S at the end of that statement, or other victims. All right, continuing the article, Burke was arrested by LA police last week and charged Monday with murder, continuous SA of a child, and corpse mutilation, according to the criminal complaint. He has pleaded not guilty. Defendants have a right to a preliminary hearing in which a judge determines whether prosecutors have enough evidence to bring a case to trial within 10 business days. But Burke's push to move quickly is unorthodox. She has publicly grilled Silverman about needing access to more discovery materials, and the medical examiner's report detailing how Hernandez died was not made public until Wednesday. And yeah, there was a bit of grandstanding, but she needs to vigorously defend her client, right? And we want her to do that. I've seen comments on other channels, including on Pascal's today, where people were commenting, I can't believe these people are defending this monster. No, listen, we want the monsters defended. We want them defended well, competently, vigorously. We want them defended. We don't want kangaroo courts in our society. We want actual courts of law. So don't be down on the defense attorney, please. The defense attorney is doing what is required in our system of jurisprudence. We want it, and we are grateful for it. This is a service that they're doing that we need. So Having said that, I will also criticize when I see fit. Hypocrisy, perhaps, but I'm still going to do it. She did grandstand a little bit, and Silverman called her bluff. We would love, Your Honor. She basically, this is paraphrasing, but Your Honor, said Beth Silverman, we would love to proceed to a preliminary hearing. That would be great. Could we do it now, please? Okay. But yeah, Burke's push is unorthodox. Typically, the defense is like, "Hey, we need to know what you got so that we can cross-examine and prepare for the hearing." But the purpose of the hearing is simply it doesn't go before a jury. It's just for the judge, and the judge determines has the prosecution, have the people cleared the bar uh, or have they reached the bar of probable cause? Have they gotten that far? And if they have, then we will let this continue. And the next bar that the people need to meet is beyond a reasonable doubt, right? So, okay. Silverman said police amassed 40 terabytes of digital evidence in the case, which I maintain is a huge amount of data. Which has made uploading and transmitting materials to the defense difficult. Silverman also said police had conducted a wiretap operation in the case, but did not disclose the nature of it. The veteran prosecutor said even she had, quote, not received anything, quote, related to that operation. But that's not uncommon. Discovery can trickle out, right? Now, remember, discovery... you lawyers that are in the audience, correct me on this if I'm wrong. I don't think the prosecution has to give the defense everything they have. I think it's just what they plan on using in prosecution, and certainly exculpatory stuff, right? They don't want Brady violations. But somebody correct me on that. You know what? I can just quickly Uncle Google that for a second. Let's see. No, the prosecution does not have to hand over absolutely everything in their file, but they are constitutionally and procedurally required to disclose a vast majority of the evidence, particularly evidence that is favorable to the defendant, also known as Brady material. The discovery process in criminal cases is designed to avoid trials by ambush, but it is not an entirely open file system in all jurisdictions. So, the prosecution must hand over exculpatory evidence, Brady material, impeachment evidence, so Giglio material, the defendant's statements, police reports, tangible evidence, expert reports. They do not have to hand over their work product. They do not have to hand over witness statements until later. They don't have to hand over rebuttal evidence, right? So, for those of us who are thinking, well, if you just got 40 terabytes of data, just copy the data. It'll take a couple nights overnight and then hand them the whole thing. It's actually not that simple. They have to decide, what are we sending over in discovery? What are we constitutionally required? What are we procedurally required to hand over? And what can we hold back? So it takes work, right? It takes time. Okay, continuing, and of course they haven't received the wiretap stuff. She also confirmed prosecutors convened 3 secret grand jury hearings after Hernandez's death, 2 in November and December in 2025 and 1 in February of this year. Those were investigative grand jury hearings, meaning prosecutors could use them to enshrine testimony against Burke, but could not use the proceedings to secure an indictment against Burke. Transcripts from all 3 hearings will also need to be unsealed. Is that true? That it needs to be unsealed, or that it needs to be sent over as part of discovery? Well, I guess that is unsealing it, but it's not necessarily making it public. Again, somebody who's a lawyer in the audience, help me out on that one. Okay, LA County Superior Court Judge Charmaine Olmedo also warned Burke that if she does push for the immediate preliminary hearing, she may not have access to the entire compendium of evidence before May 1st. Silverman also seems intent on bringing the case to trial as soon as possible. Silverman noted Thursday marked the one-year anniversary of the date prosecutors believe Hernandez was killed, and said she intended to put the case before a jury within 60 days of the completion of the preliminary hearing, which would be so fast. And of course, there would be motions. Guys, don't take this as gospel, okay? This is Silverman putting pressure on the defense. The defense would move for a continuance here, there, all over the place to try to get through 40 terabytes of discovery. Okay, continuing the article, the singer, known as D4vd, allegedly began sexually SAing Hernandez in September 2023 when she was just 13. Other people are claiming it's probably more like 12. Some are saying it could even be 11. Burke's attorneys, but the prosecution is saying September 2023, she was 13. Burke's attorneys have said the case cannot stand up to scrutiny and pushed for the immediate preliminary hearing. Hernandez was reported missing from her family's Lake Elsinore neighborhood 3 times in 2024, and she was spotted at some of David's concerts during that time frame. Prosecutors allege Hernandez was last seen at Burke's Hollywood Hills residence on April 23rd. She, quote, threatened to expose his criminal conduct and devastate his musical career, according to LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman, though the prosecutor has not answered questions about whether Hernandez was going to report Burke to police. Yeah, this was something that Pascal brought up today. One, if there are other victims, SA victims, was it that she was only a witness to her own SA, or was she a witness to others? Right? And I mean, we're wondering, was she working with police? Was she gathering evidence? I don't think that is the case. I don't, but those questions are out there. Yeah, I think we'll find out more, especially if the preliminary hearing happens soon. Burke surged in popularity after one of his tracks was included in the wildly popular video game Fortnite, and he has also collaborated with artists like 21 Savage. He was beginning to tour in support of his debut album Withered when reports surfaced linking him to Hernandez's death. He quickly canceled all shows. The details of the crime echoed some of the violent imagery associated with Burke's songs. The Queens-born vocalist has appeared in a music video filled with violent imagery. A young woman with an apparent chest wound lies on a bed as the singer hovers over her blindfolded. His white shirt spattered with blood. In another video, One More Dance, D4vd drags a person who bears the singer's likeness to a car where a couple stuffs the person into the trunk. Of course, Celeste's badly decomposed body was found in the trunk of a Tesla at a Hollywood tow yard last September. The autopsy report made public this week, we went over it yesterday here on the channel, revealed she died from a pair of stab wounds to the chest and abdomen. At least she may have. When police arrived on scene, they found Celeste's body was dismembered. 2 of her fingers had been amputated. They are missing, according to the medical examiner's report. Prosecutors charged Burke with murder with special circumstances, including allegations that Celeste was a witness to a crime, her own SA, and that Burke killed her for financial gain to protect his ascendant music career. If convicted as charged, he faces life in prison without the possibility of parole or the DP, though there's a moratorium on that in California. Prosecutors have yet to decide if they will seek capital punishment in the case. And we strive to remain apolitical here, not non-political, but apolitical here on my old show. But there are some political happenings in the Golden State that could impact this case. Right now, there's a moratorium on the DP, and there have been a series of governors, including Republicans and Democrats, that have kept that moratorium in place. But because California is now doing a top 2 vote getters in the primary go to the general election thing, and it's looking possible that 2 Republicans could be at the top, could be the vote getters. It's more likely in the United States, without commentary on whether it should or should not be, but it is more likely in the States for a conservative governor to have policies that carry out the DP than a more liberal governor like they've had in California for a long, long time. Even the last Republican governor they had, and I have to go through, which I think was Schwarzenegger was the last Republican, right? He was on the more socially liberal side, right? So yeah, there are some interesting things going on in the Golden State, and this is something that D4vd probably, I don't know that he's smart enough to think about these things, but maybe his attorneys are. His attorneys definitely are. Talk to him about, hey man, you might want to take a plea bargain because, especially if it turns out in the primary that 2 Republicans make it to the top of the ticket and they are outspoken about the DP, that becomes real for D4vd, right? It could become real. So will prosecutors seek capital punishment? I don't know. It is possible. Let's see what you guys are saying over in the live chat. Let me, it's going to refresh on me, which means I'm probably going to miss some of your comments. But I'm going to do my best here. Phoenix Rising says, Gavin, you're too kind. I can't take credit for Ellen Greenberg. I became obsessed with her case from you. Okay. I have written to you about looking into Christian Andrecchio. That's right. That's right. Okay. Well, thank you for keeping me honest. Penguin says, OMG, just call him David. That's how everyone seems to pronounce it. D4vd sounds ridiculous. Yeah, it is. It's stupid to have a name D4vd. It's ridiculous. Listen, guys. Okay. There are only 2 circumstances in which you can use numbers as letters. Okay. And this comes to us from Weird Al. That is a high authority. Weird Al Yankovic has taught us in his delightful parody, Word Crimes, that you may only use numbers as letters if you're 7 or you're Prince. And sadly, Prince has left this mortal coil. So only 7-year-olds are left. So this whole David spelled with a 4 is stupid. Everybody needs to stop being stupid. Hey, stop being stupid. Maybe we need another. Maybe we need another T-shirt. Gavin's Iron Law, or Gavin's Directive. The Prime Gavin Directive. Stop being stupid. It's funny. Yeah, Ivan says the prosecutor said he had 10 terabytes of CSAM. Yep. Whew. Mooney says, I agree. He will delay as long as he can and fight it all the way. Then he will plead. That's where I am. Yeah. I predict D4vd would come to... I did predict that D4vd would come to remind us of Stefan Stearns, but you should call him D4Dill. Since he's the king Dillhole, having CSAM on his devices while under investigation. D4Dill. Maybe. I'm going to try it on. D4Dill. We'll see. Soft G1R, blah, 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 soft girl, let's say. Soft girl is using numbers as letters. It's okay. It's in a handle. It's cool. Is the CSAM of Celeste, or was he purchasing justice for her? We don't know. We don't know. I would imagine the answer to your question is yes. Probably both. Let's see. Rachel Donnell, I really do think he's getting off on the attention at this point. That's funny. Ohio Palm Mom. A member for 5 months. Thank you. You say he'll probably plead out. Cabling says marching out coffins isn't talent. Yeah, listen. I am a person who is a student of music. I do not claim to be an expert. I claim to be an enthusiast of music. And specifically, rock music is a very simple construction. When you look at the composition of rock music, its composition is very simple. It is. However, there are thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, or even millions of people who can build a song that follows the composition of regular rock music that just goes nowhere. And then there are those that just know how to do it. And it doesn't, two things can be true at the same time. Okay, two things can be true. He can be a dill hole and musically gifted. Both of those things can be true. Now, I don't like his music all that much. In fact, I don't think I've ever even heard any of his music. So I don't know if I like it or not. I've never heard it. Let's see. What was one of the names of it? It was like something homicidal romance or something like that. That's not something I'm going to listen to. But if people listen to it, that does show that kind of X factor, and I hate saying that, but that he knows what he's doing. And then beyond that, being a talented vocalist is it's a talent and a developable skill. I think everybody can do it, but you have to dedicate your life to it. It's an instrument that you have to be good at playing. So I don't want to take any of that away from him, while also saying, yeah, I think he's a murderer and an assaulter, an SAer, an abuser of children, and a dill hole. All of that true at the same time. Just me. Just me. Lynn says, do you think he was just arrogant and figured everyone he told to take care of his stuff and paid them would do it? So he thought he was covered? Yeah, possibly. Arrogant and stupid. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, put GF in front of your question for me if you want me to answer it. That's the only way I really see it. Natalie says, D4vd person is but Piarison. Piarison. D4vd Piarison. Prison. Oh, not person. Prison. Piarison. That's funny. Wow. Yeah, we got to come up with something. Ivan says, Gavin, having survived, I feel like he and all PDF files buried under the jail should be buried under the jail. Yeah. Penguin saying he was communicating with Celeste on Discord when she was 11. 11. Yeah. Sensei Wackadoodle, hey there, I've heard there could be video data from the Tesla too. Yeah, there's most likely video data from the Tesla. Yeah. Soft Girl, his parents are in law, aren't they? I'm sure his parents have a lot to say about what's going on. Let's see. Are D4vd's parents in law enforcement? Doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. But I don't know. I don't know. Analytical one. Do you think the CSAM might motivate David to plead guilty? Yes, I do. Ivan, didn't a cousin or brother know that she was with David? I think a lot of people knew. They were talking about it on Reddit. Yeah. Panda Ann saying, I bet once people are comfortable knowing he's not going anywhere, victims are going to start coming out of the woodwork, just like the Diddy case. We're going to hear way more than we want. It's possible. The issue is that, like in the Diddy case, sometimes it just takes years for victims not only to feel comfortable coming forward, but sometimes they don't recognize, for various reasons that are studied by psychologists and sociologists, but for various reasons, they may not know that they're victims yet. They may not have made that realization yet. But yeah, I think eventually we will find out there are more. Robin says a movable feast by Hemingway is one that I need to add. Let's see. Instead of pronouncing it D4vd, shouldn't it be D4vd? D4vd. Ooh, I do like that. D4vd. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Although now they use the term STD instead of VD. D4vd. Oh, I hope she wasn't a victim of an STD. AC says the American Bar Association model rule allows an attorney to decline or withdraw from representing a client when it conflicts with the lawyer's moral, professional, or ethical judgment. Yeah. I still think, though, that a lawyer that Mr. Burke needs to be vigorously defended by a competent attorney. It has to be that way in order. And I'm not saying you don't think that. I'm just saying I get what you're saying. But I mean, if I were an attorney, if I were a defense attorney, I would take this case. I would. It's a good case. It's there are, there are questions of law. There in every case, one of the things that I worry about, okay, they apparently got into his iPhone. Was that legal? Right? That is an important question. Did they do so legally? Did they read him his rights? Did they do everything that protects all of the rest of the citizenry with this scumbag? Did they do those things? And that would be number one for me as a defense attorney. Okay, I want to make sure that if my client is guilty, that everything was done by the book by police and prosecution for the protection of everybody. So I would take the case. I would. But I understand if you disagree with me. Ivan says, I think she was going to turn him in. Yeah, and prosecution agrees with you. Just refresh. Let me do a couple more. Oh, we've got Ohio Palm Mom. Prince had to. The record label owned his name. Nay, Ohio Palm Bomb, with due respect, Prince penned the talking about earworms, the Nothing Compares to You, #2, long before the problem with, what was that, Sony Records? Long before he became the artist formerly known as Prince, he was doing that. And Weird Al is right. I'm telling you, Weird Al is right. Yeah, cabling. D4vd was supposed to be David with the 4 as an A. Shows his mentality. Indeed. Yeah, it's not lost on me. Yeah, glad you're here, Jennifer. Thank you for being here. D4DP GF is approved. There we go. Yep, and they say they have footage of the last, Mr. Fisher says they have footage of the last person driving Mr. Burke's Tesla. Phoenix Rising, Gavin, regarding two things being true. Jerry Lee Lewis. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Michaela says, Gavin, D4vd, I don't know, D4vd is going to J4IL forever. I hope so. I hope that is the case. You guys are clever. I just meant he's the human equivalent of VD. I gotcha. You've probably read it. Beach Music by Pat Conroy is one of my all-time favorite books. I have not read it. No. They have released the footage of the last known individual driving David's Tesla and have identified him. Is that true? Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, the last I have seen is that Fisher confirmed. Oh, well, no, 6 months ago, News Nation. Let me just check something real quick. News Nation published a 6-minute video. It's on Banfield of, let me see if they, no, it's just them talking with Steve Fisher. So from what all I have been able to find out, Revive is that it's just that Fisher has talked about it, but I'm not calling you a liar. I just haven't been able to see it. Just Ducky says, even though she was a minor, I think this case should have cameras in the courtroom just to raise the awareness to younger people. Yeah. Let's see. Dana says, no, that's not true. Steve Fisher didn't even disclose who it was. Yeah. Okay, good. We're all on the same page. Let me see if there's anything else. I mean, I did bring up the medical examiner's report just to see if there's anything in there that we wanted to go over. Oh, the thing that I wanted to go over, and this, by the way, is available on my Patreon account. I give a benefit to people who support me on Patreon. I give them the benefit of getting direct access to documents. I don't redact them. I don't, watermark them. I just put them up there, and people can have access to them. So the redaction on this was not done by me. Okay, this is how it was received. But anywho, if you want the document itself, go to my Patreon. There's a link in the description. You can go do that. If you don't want to pay, which is totally cool, I'm so grateful for the way that you guys support me anyway. Just go to yesterday's live stream and I go through all 26 pages. You can see the whole thing. Okay. But the thing that I think I wanted to maybe talk about was something that my friend Joseph talked about, which was the painful nature of, let me go down. It's yeah. So the painful nature of the way that Celeste died. She had 2 puncture wounds. One here, 6 inches from the top of the shoulder, if you can see my cursor, and one 9 inches from the top of the shoulder. One went into her liver, one punctured her liver. One was intercostal between the ribs. And I guess the reason that I wanted to bring this up is I was hoping that Celeste met her end quickly. But from what Joseph is telling us, she did not. She likely died a very, very, very painful death, which makes it even more important for me, and I'm sure for you, that she gets justice. And that's, guys, is what we have in the case of Celeste Rivas today to report to you. Don't worry, we've still got more to go, though. We have got, before we get into 3 questions, well, no, not before. We're going to get into 3 questions, but I've got some news for you in the Nancy Guthrie case, the Melody Buzzard case, the Amy Hilliard case, which Emmy tells us on Surviving the Survivor tonight, we have Amy Hilliard's family joining Joel, which is pretty awesome. And we've got some good news, which will be, we always want to end our day with some good news, do we not? But before we get into those headlines, let's do 3 questions. Here we go.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Pow. Okay, in this segment, I answer questions that you send in to me to the email address on your screen, 3questions@gavinfish.com, 3questions@gavinfish.com. It is spelled out, THREE, questions at gavinfish.com. I got to say, most of the questions that come in are questions about me. I like it when there are, questions that are, well, I like ones that you guys can answer too. It'd be fun to get like a seriously, I guess, philosophical question where we have to get into Aristotelian ethics or something, go back to Plato and Socrates. I would love to do that. But most of the time you guys are asking about me, so I try to make this segment short. But I love it when you answer these questions for yourself and put them in the live chat. I love it when you do that. So please do that, okay? Question number 1 from Diane G, who sent in a lot of questions. Gavin, if you were an animal, which one would you be? Well, Diane, I'm kind of a cheater on this. An imaginary animal or a real animal? Like, could I be a mythical creature? Because, I mean, if I'm a mythical creature, I gotta say, what's the half human, half horse guy? Wouldn't mind being able to. What are those called? I'm blanking on what am I blank? What's a half horse? Oh, I almost had it. Half horse, half human. What's a half horse, half human? It's a centaur. I would choose to be a centaur, but you know what? I would want the horse side up on top and the human side. No, I'd want to be able to run fast and I'd want to be able to have my arms. But if I were to be an animal now, I would choose one with a long lifespan. I want to be on Earth a good long time. I also would choose one where I'm like, you know what? This life is interesting, but it's also kind of easy. There's no like giant predator coming after me all the time. I probably would choose to be one of my cats. Honestly, like a cat in a good home, that would be a good choice. What's the let me just look this up. There's a shark that lives maybe a Greenland shark. They live between 272 and 400 years. Like, that would be pretty cool, right? Maybe a Greenland shark, or maybe a house cat in a very good lazy home that maybe had mice. Maybe I would want to like run around, grab and like get my hunt on. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, question number 2. You guys tell me what animal you would be and why. Kelly asks, who does the cooking in the family? Hey, this is reminding me, and I'm going to answer this question, but yesterday's question was, what's the quality that your Snuggly Bear, your Sweetie Pie, your one and only likes most about you? And I was like, I don't know. Kimberly has been telling me ever since all the qualities that she loves in me. It's been wonderful. And you know what? Like, we live in a family and in a relationship where we talk all the time. It's there's no lack of communication and sharing of love, in many different ways, including verbally between the two of us. But whoever asked that question, was that Diane? I can't remember. it has been prompting my wife to tell me all the things. All the things. I've got an unread text from my wife right now that I can see from the preview is more qualities about me that she likes. But who does the cooking in our family, Kelly? Kimberly does most of our cooking. There are things that I'm good at. I used to really be into bread, but we have a daughter, and she was diagnosed a couple years ago on this. But we have a daughter who has celiac disease, so we don't do gluten in the house anymore. So I don't do like my famous pizza crust or sourdough bread or anything like that anymore. No, I never did sourdough. Why did I say that? I wasn't good. I tried, but like homemade bread. Um, I am very, very good at making popcorn. And I'm telling you, well, you can go to my channel. Just search popcorn on my channel. You will get Uncle Gavin's recipe for movie theater popcorn. I am good at popcorn. And there are a couple of other things. Like Kimberly is a vegetarian, so she's really not all that good at cooking animal products. And so that typically is left to me. So on like Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter, if we're having people over and we're going to feed them delicious, meaty victuals, I typically will be the cook of that. But Kimberly does. And she's famous in our family for her salads that are creative and delicious. They are so, so, so good. So, yeah, mostly Kimberly. Mostly Kimberly. She does this pumpkin muffin that is gluten-free. She used to make them glutenously, and she just converted them to a gluten-free recipe, and they are awesome. They're awesome. So yeah, dark chocolate chips. It's like this really good pumpkin. It's definitely a treat. It's definitely a sweet. You don't want to eat tons of them, but you'll end up looking like I used to. But yeah, she's awesome at cooking. And the third question of the night. What activities do you like or suggest for summer that are not related to bodies of water? Very simple. Summer is when it's hot. Okay. I suggest staying indoors where there is air conditioning and choose your activity. Cards, games, sliding down the stairs in sleeping bags. Let me tell you something. This is a bit of a tangent. I have this motto that I say, and it is this: mean moms are the best moms. Kimberly's a mean mom. My mother was a mean mom. Mean meaning, like as a child, you're like, how come you're so unfair? They're protecting you. They're protecting you from yourself and from others. It's not that they're actually mean, but my mean mom would not let me nor any of my other 4 siblings slide downstairs, like in a sleeping bag or on a piece of cardboard or something like that. They were always concerned that we'd probably get hurt or that we would bang into a wall and hurt the house or whatever. So we were never allowed to slide down the stairs. And as young kids, I think it was before my baby sister was born. I think I was probably 4 years old when this happened, or 3. We made a solemn pledge to one another, us siblings, that when we grew up, we wouldn't be so mean and we would let our kids slide down the stairs. That's just now. I reminded my sister of this when they moved into a house with carpeted stairs, and she's like, "Well, you're right. I mean, we made that pledge." So I got my niece on my lap, went down the stairs, and boom, my knee went right into a wall, left a hole like this big. But you know what? A covenant is a covenant, right? So we let our kids slide down. We have a grand staircase in our house that has Tiffany stained glass at the top of it, and it's this gloriously carpeted set of stairs. And yeah, our kids can slide down it to their heart's content. So yeah, I am an indoor cat. Okay, getting back to the first question. I'm an indoor cat, especially when it's hot. Now, when it's cold, I like going outside, but like other summer activities from when I was a kid, go do stuff that gets you active. Go play tennis. Go play pickleball. Go play wall ball and dodgeball and foursquare, and what's the one, tetherball. Go do those kinds of things. Those are fun. Those are climb trees. Let your kids climb trees. Those are great summer activities that do not include bodies of water. But I would also say, go visit giant bodies of water. Go to the beach, go to the lake, go to the river, go to the stream, go to the creek. We have my sister and brother-in-law live at a place where their backyard empties into what we call a creek in western Pennsylvania, but the rest of the world would call a river. It's this big old river. And they got a rope swing that you can swing out over the river. You can drop into the river when the water's high. They've got canoes and kayaks, and we got paddle boards. So we spend a lot of time on the river. My wife especially loves the beach, so we will be going to the beach this summer back in California. But yeah, stay cool, stay warm, have fun. Make it a terrific summer. Thank you very much for those questions. Guys, while you are answering those questions for me as they apply to you, I really want to know what you do in the summer, not related to bodies of water. Why don't you and I check out what else is happening in the world of true crime? It is headlines.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie. Day 82 of Nancy Guthrie case. Increased patrols ongoing in Catalina Foothills neighborhood. This written by Marissa Orr from KVOA. Today, Dateline Tucson. As the search for Nancy Guthrie enters day 82, increased patrols in her Catalina Foothills neighborhood remain ongoing. In April, the Pima County Sheriff's Department attended a homeowners association meeting for the 84-year-old's neighborhood. Some residents complained about being harassed by a YouTuber. We kind of feel like we know who that is. Due to the complaints, Pima County Sheriff's increased patrols in her neighborhood as well as in Annie Guthrie's area. And then it just kind of goes on. But that's nothing really new other than those, it's not new, but those patrols continue to try to keep the riffraff away from harassing neighbors. Headline number 2 from KSBY, written by Catherine Herndon. Sickness postpones latest hearing for Vandenberg Village mother Ashley Buzzard. Ashley Buzzard reminds me of the kind of person who didn't want to take a test in high school, and so she feigned that she was ill. She has postponed and not shown up for hearings more. Like, she's a professional no-shower. A Wednesday hearing for a Vandenberg Village mother charged with the murder of her daughter was postponed due to illness. Court staff told KSBY News shortly before the 1:30 p.m. motion hearing that Ashley Buzzard did not show up at the Lompoc courthouse due to being sick. The judge reportedly moved her hearing to April 29th at 8:30 a.m. Buzzard, of course, is charged with the killing of her 9-year-old daughter, Melody. Here is little Melody. Last fall, and it goes on and talks more about the background of the case, but that's the long and short of it. And then the last piece of news that I want to bring to you is the Oakland Police Department has said, according to Tor Smith, written on kron4.com, that no foul play is suggested in Amy Hilliard's case. Amy Hilliard has not been seen since she was reported missing almost a month ago in Oakland. Hilliard, the 52-year-old co-owner of Farley's Coffee, wife and mother of 2, is considered at risk due to a medical condition. She also serves as the president of the board of directors for the Piedmont East Bay Children's Choir. Oakland police provided an update on the case Wednesday, stating to KRON4 that at this time there is no evidence to suggest foul play. Police said there were no other new details in the investigation. So please, if you are in the Bay Area, please call the Oakland PD if you know where Amy Hilliard is. Now, I have. Did I not? Did I not bring it? I have some good news to share. We want to finish out the day with some good news, do we not? Let's find it. Here it is. Okay. Guys, did you know that seeds can hear the rain and the sound waves make them grow faster according to an MIT study? This is interesting. From the Good News Network, seeds may come alive to the soothing sound of rainfall, sensing the drops while they are still beneath the surface, suggests a new study. A series of experiments at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology demonstrated that rice seeds sprouted faster to the sound of rainfall. The sound of falling droplets effectively shook the seeds out of a dormant state, stimulating them to germinate at a faster rate compared with seeds that were not exposed to the same sound vibrations. So I wonder if they controlled for moisture and all that stuff. Okay, the findings published yesterday in the journal Scientific Reports are the first direct evidence that plant seeds and seedlings can sense sounds in nature. I'm sure that they sense the vibration. I wonder if they can actually hear. I don't think so. Rice seeds can germinate in either soil or water, and these experiments involved seeds submerged in shallow water. Very interesting, and how fun. And the link to this article is in the description below if you want to read the rest of it. I don't know. I like this little tradition that we're doing of good news. It's fun, guys. Those are your headlines.
True crime headlines.
Okie Vanderdokie, let's just finish out with a couple of your comments. Yes, Penguin, she knew, or he knew before me. It was a centaur. Sometimes I just have that brain fart, man. Yes, a centaur would be cool. Tina, yeah, Dana says like BoJack Horseman. I've never watched that, but our adult kids love that. They think it's hilarious. Driven Lattice says house cat with rich parents. Archangel says I would be a tiger or a wolf. Love them. So cute. A tortoise. I thought about a bird like an eagle, but I'm afraid of heights. Yeah, that one wouldn't work out for you. Tina says I'd want to be a giraffe. Dandelions, a sea turtle before all the plastic. Yes, indeed. Rayra says the one that cooks best. My husband, in my case, her husband is the cooker, or his husband. I don't know. Let's see. Jonathan the turtle just passed at maybe 100 years old. Yeah, tortoises live a long time. Yeah. Soft Girl says tortoise because I love the heat and veggies. Good stuff. Epheseeks says I'd be a unicorn. I'm just saying. Robin says I want to come back as a baby pygmy goat. Hop and leap. Hop, hoppity, hop, spin. Wee! They do look like they're having a lot of fun, Robin. That is true. Debbie says a sea turtle too, but I don't want to haul around all those eggs. What if I'm afraid of the deep sea? That's funny. Tina says my husband cooks on Saturday and Sunday, and I cook the rest. He enjoys it. I don't, although he doesn't need to clean up his mess, so that probably makes a difference. I have made an effort in the later years of our marriage to not be such a slob in the kitchen. That doesn't mean that I'm successful at it, but I have. Jenny, celebrating 4 months, has been here lurking. Thanks for great content, Gavin. Thanks to the mods. The mods are amazing. Thanks, friends in chat, for the lovely conversation. Don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you, Jenny. And thanks for lurking. Music to my ears. Camping is the best. Debbie says, yard work, gardening, watching the labs in the kiddie pool. Ah, she has labs. Let's see. Soft Girl says, I went camping for the first time last year. Definitely my favorite secluded camping. All right. Robin says, my parenting is now jaded. Don't lie. Manners count. Be a giver and less a taker. And don't be late. I like that. Let's see. Ivan says, I was the strict parent. Now that my daughter is an adult, we are very close. My ex-wife was the mean parent. My daughter can't stand being around her. Yeah, my mom wasn't really mean. She was just, they're pretty strict. They're pretty strict, but also very, very loving. So I guess I got the best of both worlds. Jennifer says, I would be my cat, Trixie Joe, a Bengal who sleeps and or sunbathes 93% of the day. Autumn says, do you know if they wiretap D4vd's phone? I don't know whose phones were wiretapped. That has not come out yet. Penguin says, a creek in Western PA? I thought it was a crick. Yeah, I'm not a native PAer. This is my adopted home state. There are a lot of people that say crick. It is true. Debbie says, thanks to the mods and the fishies. You guys have been awesome. Archangel says, I don't know, but I get the impression Amy's case is not getting a lot of help from the police. Just my impression. Maybe I'm wrong. And Debbie says, I enjoy ending on the positive stories. And Ivan says, it's awesome. Explains why my flowers expanded so much this year. They also found plants like music. Yeah. And Fred, I think you're the last one. Or Frida. An elephant. They're so cool. And an herbivore without any predators except people, except for the babies who are so well taken care of. And that's a great conversation, guys. Elephants are great. I once was in Thailand, and hey, Wanda, could you give me maybe some flashback music? Thank you. I was once in Thailand. Wanda, that was so soothing. That was great. And what else do you have in terms of flashback music? Yeah, Wanda. Okay. I was once in Thailand and I had an extra day. I'd passed the time zone. Anyway, didn't matter. I had an extra day that I didn't know that I had. And so I hired out a car and a tour guide, and we went out into the jungle. And one of the places that we visited in a village out there was an elephant farm. And they just really love their elephants out there. It's like when I was a kid, I lived in a town that was a rural place, and we would do jobs for the different farmers and stuff. And one of our jobs, well, I think I was too young for this actual job. I don't think I got paid. I just hung around. Was bringing the cattle for this farmer, bringing his cattle, his dairy cattle, from the field to his milk barn and back. And it was maybe 500 yards, going down the street. And he had this cow named Stub who led the herd, and I would climb up on like the railroad tie fence. And as Stub passed by, she would stop and I would hop on her and I would ride her up to the milk barn, and then I would hop off. And I loved that cow. Like, I loved that. To this day, I have feelings. This cow was an amazing cow. I loved her so much. And I think she loved me. Like, she wouldn't move. Once she got to me, she stopped. Everybody stopped behind her. I'd hop on, sit on her haunches, and with my feet dangling down around her neck, and not riding her like a horse, like riding up on her neck. And then we'd go up there, and before she'd go into the corral, she'd stop. I'd hop up on. She was great. And that's how I felt about that elephant farm. They just loved those animals. They loved them. And anyway, yeah, I like the idea of elephants. Elephants in the wild are better, right? I mean, and I love watching those YouTube videos. They're elephant sanctuaries, right? So cool. But anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out, making it all the way to the end. It's been a good time with you. You can always check me out on my website, gavinfish.com. You can get the autopsy report on Patreon, link in the description, and hang out with us on Facebook. Hey, one last thing, a shameful plug. If you go to my website and click on support me at the top, you will find yourself on this page. If you scroll down to the bottom, there's a button to buy our lead moderator, Autumn, a coffee. If you can, and if you feel so inclined, I would invite you and encourage you to buy Autumn a coffee. And with that, I bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here. Catch you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.